Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
There will be a brief ad at the end of this video. Now, several people sent me the story, including Rex. Thank you very much. And this is an interesting story, to say the least, involving insurance in California. California sisters were offered $5,000 from the insurance company for storm damage, and a jury awarded them $18 million instead. So this is from the LA Times. Nathan Solis wrote this. Two sisters in San Bernardino sued their insurance company for failing to pay for flood damage to their home, are now $18 million richer after a jury found in their favor and imposed emotional and punitive damages on the insurance company. Now, keep in mind, they haven't collected the money just yet, so there very well could be an appeal or something. But the $18 million verdict announced recently by San Bernardino County jury was a far cry from the $5,000 an insurance adjuster had initially offered the women. Now, the two of them live in a home that was flooded by rainwater back in 2019, and muddy water got into their home and damaged it, including the heating and air conditioning ducts. The rainwater also damaged the electrical system in their home, according to their attorney. The sisters estimated they needed more than $100,000 to fix the damage, but when they filed a claim, the insurance company adjuster offered them $5,000. So they sued the company in 2020 for breach of contract, claiming that the adjuster did not conduct a proper inspection of the home. They said the home was uninhabitable, but they had to live there because they had no place else to go. So the insurance company did not respond to requests for comments from the newspaper, but in court filings, they argued that the sisters repeatedly delayed inspection of the home, and after they filed their lawsuit, they were slow to respond to requests made by the company's legal team. Well, by the way, if that were true, you can complain to the court and get the court to straighten that out. The women also repeatedly asked for all communication from the insurance company to be made in writing. But of course, is that a problem? Because I can tell you right now, when you're in a hostile relationship with somebody, like a business like that, it's probably good to get all the communication in writing. And so I don't blame anybody for saying that. So more than 4 years after they filed their claim, the insurance company said an oversight had been made, and they upped the offer from $5,000 to $140,000. Now, of course, that's more in the range of what the sisters said they wanted, but of course they wanted that back at the time it happened, which is around 2019. And so now in 2023, in the story now, they were offered $140,000. But here's the thing, that was just shortly before the trial was slated to start. So they had to jump through all these hoops just to get there. The company explained to the sisters that they learned about the living conditions while they were deliberating the evidence in the trial. So I'm not sure if you're deliberating evidence during the trial or preceding the trial, because this is kind of written unusually, but they get offered much more money right there as they're approaching trial. And by the way, that happens a lot. And so the question always is, do you take the offer or do you go to trial now that you're this close? And so, a jury might come back and give you nothing. They do that all the time. So the attorney says, we argued they had known about those conditions for a long time, but they made the decision to pay my clients because they knew that they'd be facing a jury. So the sisters moved ahead with the trial and received estimates to repair the home, but postponed repairs until after the trial is over because they'd have to be moved out to do the construction. They'd have to relocate. And plus, they'd need the money to do it. After a 6-week trial, a jury found in favor of the women and awarded them each $3 million for emotional damages. They were awarded $2 million in punitive damages and $10 million in punitive damages, with 2 against one company and 10 against the parent company, or vice versa. I'm not sure how those two are related to each other. But the verdict arrives during a rough time in California as insurance companies are leaving the state, claiming they're unable to provide insurance to homes under threat of wildfires and other natural disasters. Well, these different liability coverage issues do not and did not overtly affect this case. The home was damaged by floodwaters from a Southern California rainstorm. Forecasts show that this flooding could get worse in coming years. In March of this year, State Farm announced that it would not renew policies for 72,000 property owners across the state, citing high inflation, catastrophe exposure, reinsurance costs, and the limitation of decades-old insurance regulations as reasons for scaling back policies. Now, the California Department of Insurance announced a new strategy in September to streamline the rate approval process for insurers in the homeowners, auto, and other markets. That process was last changed in 1988, so maybe it needs to be updated. But something I got to tell you, I went to law school in California. I practiced law in Michigan, and I was shocked to discover how wildly different the state of the law can be in states on issues such as insurance. So in California and in some other states, if an insurance company denies your claim in bad faith, let me just give you an example. I'm not saying it happened here, but let's give you an example. You file a claim with an insurance company, they ought to pay it. The adjuster just goes, no, not going to pay it. Don't care, not going to pay it. And so you sue them. Well, if that happens in California, a jury can come back and order them to pay not only the claim they're supposed to pay, but other damages such as pain and suffering and so on. And that's what happened here. So it was a $140,000 claim, maybe, or $100,000 claim, and a jury said pay him $18 million. Pay him $18 million. However, if that happened in Michigan, a jury can only order them to pay you what they should have paid you. And it's considered to be simply a contract action. That's it, a contract action. And in Michigan, you don't get punitive damages for a breached contract. That's just, they decided a long time ago that that's not how it's, we're not going to have these awards like this. And so I know a lot of people right now are going, but Steve, that's good. Because if these crazy awards keep happening, assuming you think this is crazy, then that's going to drive the insurers even further out of California. But here's the problem. And think back to the issue with civil asset forfeiture for a moment, where the police take money from somebody, and it's a small enough amount to where hiring an attorney would become cost prohibitive. So you have a $10,000 claim. Let's say you get a $10,000 claim. An insurance adjuster comes out and goes, no, we're not going to cover that. Now what do? Well, you can sue them for $10,000. Going to hire an attorney? What's that going to cost you? So if you win and you get your $10,000, subtract out your attorney fees, and where does that put you? And if you lose, not only did you not get your claim paid, but now you're out what you're paying your attorney. And there was a time briefly in Michigan where you could get your attorney fees paid in these kinds of claims. And the Michigan Supreme Court said, nah, that's not how that's going to happen here. And I can tell you that for a brief period of time, as a matter of principle, I took a bunch of these cases. And I've told the stories before. I took one of them to trial. I had a trial, a bench trial, where my client's car got stolen. The insurance adjuster just said, we think you faked the theft. You faked the theft. And that was something that there was two companies in particular would do that, especially if you're from certain areas and fell into certain socioeconomic categories. I don't want to get too much heavily into that, but the point simply is this. Your car gets stolen. You file a police report, and they find the car 3 weeks later, and it's been torched on the other side of town. So you tell your insurance company, hey, I had comprehensive coverage. It covers theft, covers vandalism. They go, we think you did that yourself. This is an insurance job. This is not a real theft. And they would actually tell people, we're not going to pay your claim. We're going to accuse you of arson. We're not going to press charges or anything like that because you're a customer of ours, but we're not going to pay your claim. And so I would file these cases, and I'd have attorneys who defend the insurance companies come in and go, Steve, how's your client paying you? Like, what? We don't understand this. And it annoyed them that I would take these cases. And I would. And the weirdest thing happened when an attorney showed up and said, it's none of your business how I'm getting paid. Just pay the claim or we'll see you in court. I handled a bunch of them that way and tended to get very good results. But the weird part was I didn't get paid a lot of money on those cases. And it's simply because I felt sorry for these people. And there was a time when I had an attorney working with me, and we had a decent caseload. And so occasionally I'd have cases that I didn't make any money on. Not quite pro bono, but sort of. And I would do these cases, and I remember going and talking to the other attorney I worked with, going, hey, I got another one. You're not going to believe this case. And some of the stories were just outrageous. And I've mentioned this one before. I had a client who was an older woman, and she had a husband who was an invalid who needed all kinds of medical attention to go to the hospital and doctors. And she had this beat-up old Buick station wagon that was just, it was a vehicle that got her and her husband around. and somebody stole it from in front of her house in Detroit. And they found it 5 miles away, and it had been burned. And some stuff had been taken off the car, but it was clearly taken either for a joyride or to commit a crime, and then it was burned. And I took the deposition of the claims adjuster who denied the claim, and he goes, there was no evidence of theft. I said, what about all the broken glass by the curb where the window got busted out? He goes, I don't know that broken glass came from that window. I said, okay, why do you think my client did this? The car wasn't running anymore, and so rather than get it fixed, she filed a fake insurance claim. I go, well, my client testified it was running. And he goes, I don't believe her. I go, so what makes you think it wasn't running? And he goes, well, number one, that would explain it. But he goes, number two, he goes, I popped the hood and I noticed there appeared to be a leak from the head gasket. I go, so engines don't run if there's a mild leak from the head gasket? And he goes, no, this car was not operable. It was not running. I go, okay, explain to me how she pushed it from her house all the way to where you guys, where it was recovered. And he goes, she pushed it. That case went to the morning of trial. And my client shows up, and she's this little old lady, and they're going to argue to a jury that she pushed her car 5 miles across Detroit at night with no witnesses. And it's like, 3 grown men would have had a hard time doing that. And interestingly, we got a really good settlement the morning of trial. But the insurance company dragged that one out because they were trying to teach us a lesson. And I'm one of these people who, if you're trying to teach me a lesson, I don't want to learn it. I ain't going to learn it. And so I took these cases for quite some time. I haven't taken any lately, but I also stopped getting those phone calls. So I'm not sure the local adjusters have stopped denying those claims for those reasons. But, here, their house flooded. And somebody comes out and goes, you get $5,000, the adjuster says. And later says, oh, upon further inspection, you should have gotten 100. Here's 140. Well, as my dad used to say, a day late and a dollar short. In fact, I think he still does say it. So, Rex, thanks for sending it from Los Angeles Times. Nathan Solis wrote it. California sisters offered $5,000 from insurance for storm damage. A jury awarded them $18 million. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. I told you there'd be an ad at the end of the video, and here we are. And of course, we're talking about Factor. Factor is the subscription-based meal delivery service that provides delicious and dietitian-designed meals. And I talked about them before. The simplicity of it and the variety of it and how good it is something that I believe in strongly because I love my Factor meals. So here's the thing. For those of you who don't know, you get the Factor delivery, and it's a box, and the meals are inside the box. While we're talking, I'm going to put down in the corner here a video of me opening my most recent Factor box. From beginning to end, it is under 3 minutes because when you open the box up, the meals are in there. You take one out, you poke holes in the plastic, throw it in the microwave, 2 minutes. The rest go in the fridge. And I always like doing this because when the box comes, I put it on my counter, and 3 minutes later, I'm eating. And that kind of simplicity is something that once you get used to it, it kind of ruins you for food that takes longer to prepare. But I have to tell you an example of something that happened to me recently. I had a conference call, and the way it worked out, I had to do the conference call from home. So I'm at home on a conference call that won't end, and it's starting to look like I'm going to be in trouble time-wise because I want to end the conference call, then go jump in my car and drive to where I got to go, okay? And I start thinking in the back of my mind, okay, where I'm going, what will I be able to get to eat along the way? I don't want to get there hungry. And then I realize, oh, wait, I got Factor in the fridge. And so while still on the conference call, I grabbed one, poked some holes in it, tossed it in the microwave, 2 minutes, and I knew that the second I hung the conference call up, I could be eating. And I ate it. It was a wonderful meal. And then I cleaned up. The cleanup's real easy also. Jumped in my vehicle and I was gone. And that was one possibility. The other possibility is I could have gotten fast food along the way. And after eating fast food, I always feel kind of gross. But I'm glad I didn't have to do that. And so here's the thing. Factor has a wide variety of meals that you can get. And the variety is huge. In fact, they've got 35 different meals to choose from, more than 60 add-ons, and that's every week. So you can go to their website and check out the variety. So I always like to do this too. I grabbed the actual wrappers from all of the meals I had in this most recent box, and they were all good. And I always tell them, just send me a variety. I don't even pick. You can go in and pick and choose as you want, but I don't even do that. I simply just say, surprise me. So cheesy ground beef and cabbage. And by the way, the meal there contained chili, garlic, green beans, and red bell peppers. Sun-dried tomato chicken. It's always a favorite. Sun-dried tomato and spinach fusilli. That was good. Pimento cheese chicken breast. Vegan mushroom marsala. And chorizo chili. Those are all meals I had. And again, the thing about this is, I'll admit, I tend to live a rather bland and unimaginative lifestyle when it comes to my food. And that's largely because I'm hungry, I'll eat. But I don't put a lot of planning into it. I don't like to put a lot of planning into it because, quite frankly, if you wanted to make one of these meals, right? Let's suppose you woke up one morning and you said, you know something? I'm going to make my own pimento cheese chicken breast with garlic, spinach, and cream zucchini. Yeah, you can go find that recipe someplace. You can go to the store and pick out all those ingredients, and you can prepare it, you can make it, and it would be good. But think of the time and the cleanup and the cost. On the other hand, they'll deliver it to you. All you got to do is open the box, poke holes in the plastic, stick it in the microwave, and punch in 2 minutes, and you are rolling. And so I love Factor. I absolutely do. And it's one of those products that when it came along, I'm like, why didn't I think of this? Why didn't somebody think of this before? So you can head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code Lehto'sLaw50 to get 50% off your first Factor box, 20% off your next month of orders, and that's code Lehto'sLaw50 at factor75.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of orders. And here's the thing I like to tell people. I know some people out there who've never tried something like this before. And they go, okay, you go to a different restaurant. You've been to restaurants before, but I've never tried a meal delivery service before. What you should do, if you're on the fence, as they say, or you're hesitant or you're skeptical, I'm a skeptic. Okay, I don't like to try new things. When I try something new and I like it, I'll tell you about it. So what you should do is you should go to the website. You're not committed to just by going to the website. Go to the website and look at it. And look at it and understand all of the options that are there. They've got the vegan options. They've got, the keto options. But go there and look at the different plans they have, the assortment they have, and all the explanations and descriptions, and you realize that they put a ton of work into this to make sure that they can take care of pretty much anybody. And I'll let you know right now, I tend to be a rather picky eater in the sense that it's one of the reasons that I get into ruts. I find something I like, and then I just do it over and over and over again until I'm sick of it. Then I'm like, okay, fine, time to move on to something else. And so I would get into these weird ruts with my food, but like I said, a lot of it boils down to simply how much time do I want to put aside for meal prep and shopping and cleanup and all that stuff. And I would never do it. The last time I made a complicated meal, I'm not even sure if I ever have. With other people, maybe I've helped somebody prepare a big meal. But I've never sat down and said, okay, I'm going to make myself some vegan mushroom marsala or chorizo chili. No, that's not what I'm going to do. So this is a perfect solution for people like me, and especially anybody out there who occasionally finds himself wondering, what can I eat? And then they start thinking about, but it's going to take time. It's going to... No. Factor takes care of all of that for you. All you've got to... And seriously, think about this. All you've got to do is choose which meal you want. That's the hardest part. Choose which meal you want of the variety you've got there. Take it out of the box, poke some holes in the plastic, into the microwave, 2 minutes. You couldn't make this process easier. And so it's like I said, it's like they were thinking of me. They were going, there must be somebody out there who literally wouldn't want to spend more than 2 minutes preparing their food if we could only get a great meal for them. And that's what they did. So check out their website. And like I said, head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code LEHTO'Slaw50 to get 50% off your first Factor box, 20% off your next month of orders. That's code LEHTO'Slaw50 at factor75.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of orders. And like I said, if nothing else, just go to the website. Go to the website, take a look at it, and the variety will blow you away. And trust me on this, the one thing you can't tell by looking at pictures on a computer screen is how good the food tastes. Trust me on that one. It tastes great. So, like I said, head to factor75.com or click the link below. And by below, I mean it's in the description of the video. It's also the first pinned comment. So Factor, like I said, I love my Factor. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. If you think you're a person of some influence, try ordering somebody else's dog around.